What's going on? It's Justeeni here. This time I've got something a bit special. This isn't a 1v1, not an FFA either. This is a team game, Polychamps season game. And this was actually the only season game that I have, so if you're wondering, like, why am I not showing more team games? It's because this was literally the only one that I had this season. But this one's pretty fun, because this is, it's on the Kraken team, but this is with the one and only Ramdingler as my teammate. The dream team assembled. And this is also on Archipelago. And yeah, with the tri-opponents and all that, we settled for Katsali Kiku. The opponents did the same. And with how these spawns are, I'm in the east, Ramdingler in the south. So that means, based on how the quadrant maps work, there's somebody on each of these two. There's 2 players left, so they're in both of those places. So we have what we like to call a same side spawn here, which usually very much favors going for embassies and stuff. And I'm Katsali, who likes going embassies. Now with this replay, I'm going to be kind of going back and forth between POV of myself and my teammate, because there'll be a lot of important things to cover. But anyway, let's get right into things. So, start off with some pretty normal expansion, find my second city, but then I don't find my third city. It's just not there. So, the resources kind of lied to me. But despite that, things are actually still okay now. I will say with the bonus situation, both sides had no bonuses, so we just had to play this game out. No resets, nothing like that. So we just had to deal with this. And I walk here, which seems a little weird. There's not going to be a village there. There's no resource indicator. And with Katsali, you've got 100% resource rate. So why am I walking here? The reason why is because I'm going to meet my teammate. We're both very close. We're actually connected by land. So we're going to meet each other. We play out Kiku's turn. Then Kiku can go to me, and we meet. This gives Kiku some stars, which will be very useful for the port connection that otherwise would not have been affordable. So just a very fast start. Now, back to me. So I just move away, and you can see my expansion pretty slow at the moment. We get peace going and all. I'm getting some expansion towards my next villages. I meet Katsali, and I opt to go for diplomacy. Not going for sailing, not going for ramming to kick this raft away. I'm going for diplomacy. If they kick me off, then so be it. It is what it is. I can just walk the defender raft on. But an important thing to note with this game is, role assessment. Because in a 1v1, usually your goal is to win the game, and you just win the game on your own. So you have to work towards a win condition. Now, team games are a little different. You need to work towards a win condition, but you don't have to individually work towards a win condition. And what I mean by that is, really, the important thing is the sum of the 2 parts. My current game plan isn't really involving trying to actually win. I'm not trying to break through and attack the opponent or do anything like that. My plan is purely to support Ramdingler. Because if we look at his situation, he's got a very nice situation. He did get an explorer that went backwards, if you're wondering why he sees this lighthouse. But this spawn is very crazy. You can see he's got 6 cities to work with, so that's just Grand Bazaar. He's got very good resources, very fast start. If we just see this turn right now, after getting resources, because he's also got organization, meets Katsali, and we see the opponent's Kiku is a little bit weaker. They've got strategy, so likely working towards embassies, but they only have 4 cities. And just look at the start with the embassy support, 18 star per turn on turn 7, and it's only going to get higher. So you've got a very, very strong Kiku here, whereas I am just playing support. Now, their Katsali is awfully passive, also playing support. But one thing to note is that their Katsali is an embassy. That means their Kiku made an embassy. And this is a pretty weird idea, I think, because their Kiku is kind of also playing support, which means they're awfully passive. And the way that this game is going to play out, I go for sailing. And the main idea is I want to make sure this explorer is going to meet their Kiku, so I get those meeting stars. And yeah, they've got a double embassy. Both of them have embassies, whereas we just have one embassy. I made an embassy for Ramdingler. But right now I'm just developing, making more units, and I've just got some scouts doing their thing, trying to really get my economy up because I had a pretty slow spawn, and I had to go for the embassy. But then Ramdingler, on the other hand, again, he gets a useless climbing ruin. However, he captures, which cuts off a trade route, and gets this explorer, which ends up grabbing this lighthouse. Is basically guaranteed. Connects, gets that upgrade, and then goes for some scouts. Not going for the giant right now, even though you could with port and fruit, because next turn things will be a lot better. So instead, kind of being more active, more aggressive in the current moment. So their Kiku fights back a little bit, but still, they're mostly just making a few rafts and scouts and whatnot. And then on this side, also very, very passive by their Quetzali. But now I can finally get some vision and really see what's going on. Of course, the Explorer goes like really terribly and gives me barely any info, but it is something. My scouts can reach for more vision. I get resources here, not a city wall. I was thinking about it, but in this case, we can go get a giant. And I decide that that's better here, or really our team decides because we're working as a team here. And yeah, it wasn't a very hard decision. Now back to Ramdingler. Now this turn is going to be huge. So we get the connection, do all that, grab the giant, and we're left with an interesting point. So we have Park of Fortune and Grand Bazaar, and we decide to place it here. And at first, you know, it's a giant in the front, but at the same time, we could have gotten multiple giants, because we could get fish, 2 ports, get a giant in the front here, and monument, 3 fish, giant here. So we could have gotten 2 giants with 2 monuments, but we chose to only get 1. And why is that the case? Well, in this position, we decided that while 2 giants would be useful, ultimately, the frontline giant, the very first one, is just too expensive. 2 ports and a fish is a lot. And then the second one, it's pretty cheap, but not the cheapest either. It's still 6 stars. So to get 2 giants, we would have to spend an extra 22 stars just to get that giant in the front, which is almost an entire turn's of economy. And one of those giants is in the back anyway. And in this sort of position, you know, we don't have the double embassy. We need Ramdingler to be very aggressive here, especially since they're being so passive. This giant straight in the front is going to be a lot better because it just saves so many stars. It's going to allow Ramdingler to make so many units and be able to get a very strong attack. So that's why we go with the monuments there. And this is going to be very crucial. We also snipe them off the ruin. And with the way that we've been doing things, Ramdingler is the one with all the kills currently. 3 kills. And Ramdingler will be getting a lot of kills as this game goes on. So their Kiku again, being very passive, still doesn't have a giant, still being very defensive, or just passive in general, not really a lot going on. Then their Quetzali. Their Quetzali being a bit more active though. Getting 2 giants. And this is actually quite threatening. We need a plan to deal with said giants. So we have to be very mindful. Now, what I do is, first off, I'm picking off some of their units. And my goal is to basically just defend. Yes, I could go for a city wall here, but if they're going to attack with 2 giants, the city wall will not help. We need the resources, because my plan for defense is going to be to get some giants. Now, not this turn. I still need to play some good support. But next turn, I wanted to play support. and another port, get a giant, then get another giant in the front. Now back to Ramdingler. Ramdingler now getting navigation, lots of starfish. The opponent didn't really deny any, so yeah, very strong bomber as well, and a raft blocking, so this bomber cannot be hit, and it's going to pin down this city and any ships near it. And this is going to pave the way for a very strong attack, because this Kiku is very weak, the opponent Kiku. So we're going to be able to do a lot of damage. They do finally get the giant, but only after buying farming and getting 2 farms. So quite pricey indeed. And then there, Quetzali. They are getting in the water, getting some scouts, starting to assemble an attack. But now we decide to, we kind of have to counterattack and also try to play nice active defense. I get my giants going. And this is kind of the main plan here for my defense. I want to make sure I can get these giants to the city. So the scout here, which looks kind of weird, the point is to block this juggernaut. If they want to move this further, they have to kill this scout first, which is quite costly for them. And additionally, because Ramdingler has such a strong attack, he can actually dedicate now some stars to actually supporting me to make sure I don't get overwhelmed. So Ramdingler on his turn collects another starfish in the back, initiates this attack, gets a bomber, and yeah, the splash on the Juggernaut's very good. This Juggernaut walking in, and the fact that there's no good way to unsiege because 2 scouts is not enough. These are defender rafts, so the 9 and 10 HP are actually not very high HP. And another scout shot, so now I don't even know if 2 rammers is enough, and if it is, then they're just barely hanging on because it's very expensive. But with all these scouts pewing away at this defender, Ramdingler now with 8 kills, so soon to get Gate of Power as well to potentially get another giant in the front. At this point, the opponent team, despite the fact that they did have some attack with their Quetzali, they actually decide to resign here, so the rest of this turn is just played out by bots because everyone resigns. But yeah, I thought this was a pretty interesting game because even though my start wasn't really the best, I was very slow in expansion. It was a little awkward to get my giants. You see, I have to place a lot of ports. The fact that I can support my teammate, the one and only Ramdingler, was huge here. And this is very important because even though I wasn't really playing to win, I was playing to support Ramdingler with that quick embassy and some supporting fire in the center of the map. Basically kind of holding off their Quetzali, isolating this Kiku, despite it being the same side spawn, allowing Ramdingler to capitalize and get this massive attack going in very quick time, making this only 11 turn victory. But anyway, hope you guys enjoyed, like and sub, and have a good one.